Yes, we just have a first brief with Mr. President. The purpose is to brief him on the work we have done so far since the commission has come, and then also make suggestions and proposals of the steps that we need to be taken to perfect the vision and the objectives. Number one, which is clearly to work to create a sports economy in Nigeria, is one of the vision of Mr. President. And then have a proper sport development on ground. Then we can go to the level of winning medals and laurels. Also, we discussed the issue of our World Cup qualification, the issue of the promises to the Super Eagles that has been made, that has to be delivered so that they can get motivated to do that. We have agreed on some strategies to see how we can support and collaborate with the NFF to push to see how we can qualify to the World Cup. We also discussed a clear framework and details of how to activate the sports economy in Nigeria and what steps need to be taken, what kind of legislation need to be put in place, and what kind of engagement the government would do, and what kind of engagement the private sector would do. So it's just one of first of many conversation, because as you're aware, the Sports Commission reports directly to the desk of the President. So we will be regular visitors here to make sure that we put the Mr. President on in the loop exactly what we are doing and what support we need and what intervention we need to get things done. We'll also discuss the issue of a National Sports Festival as well, which is also something that is on the burner. It's our own local Olympics. So which we're going to have about 15,000 athletes across the country that will converge in Ogun State to get things done. So it's a wide range of conversation. We cannot thank Mr. President enough for giving us this time to sit down and analyze and discuss this. And it's a very, very engaging meeting. See, the foundation of what we are going to do rests on like three pillars. You know, because we are to turn around the entire ecosystem of sports in Nigeria to do things differently. We have what we call the 3 R's, that we have to reset our thinking. You know, to reset our thinking, and we have to refocus what we are doing, and we have to relaunch the sports in this country. Resetting our thinking, meaning that Nigeria has been focused more on competitions for many, many years, which we see competitions and foreign trips and everything as consumption. We have to go back to development, which is production. We have to make sure that the internal ecosystem of sports work. So that is the new things we are trying to do differently. Second one, we have to refocus and be deliberate about what we are doing. So we have to decide clearly what is the pathway we are taking to move forward. What kind of legislation we need to put in place to activate the system. What kind of incentives we need to put in place to be able to attract the private sector to support the growth of sport in this country. We have to do that. And then fundamentally part of that is what we are telling Mr. President is to declare sports as a national asset. Sport should be our national asset, which means it's a special agenda and must be entitled to special concessions, special privileges, and special legislations, executive orders to get things done properly.
All right, Chairman of the National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, briefing newsmen on the meeting held with the President, where, of course, they gave him a progress report and talked about the way forward. We've made a change in the studio. Damilola Olifade joins me now, and we will talk about a whole lot of things. Damilola, greetings to you. Thanks for finding out time to be with us. There's a lot to unpack. Time will not allow us, but make of it what you may. Sum up everything surrounding what you heard and your immediate thoughts about all that is going on with the sports industry.
Good evening, Yemi. It's good to see you again. Yeah. My immediate thought is very simple. I think we still do not have clarity. Mm-hmm. There was a switch from Sports Ministry to National Sports Commission. And you and I are sitting down here. We still cannot say clearly what the structure of the Sports Commission is. What would be the difference between what the ministry was doing and what the commission is supposed to achieve? Is it just a name in... Is it just a change of nomenclature or a change in terms of governance, in terms of the direction? Is there a sport policy? What exactly do we want to achieve? And what are the timelines to this achievement? What's going to be the relationship between the federations and the Sport Commission? Over the years, what we've seen is a situation where the Sport Ministry wants to be some kind of emperor over federations, even when they have international guidelines to how they should operate. Are we going to move away from that? These are a few things that I think
you also talked about, in our private chat, looking at this, you also talked about, are we going to have any of these two guys in your picture, Shehu Diko or Bukola Olokpade, sit in
the Federal Executive Council?
Federal Executive.
Yeah, because the minister used to be there. Who is going to be there?
So those are questions.
Is this position recognized at that level?
Yes, will it be granted a seat
there?
The federal,
I mean,
because if that does not happen, then means that sports has no representation.
No representation. That's what it means, and that would not be good enough for sport as a whole, as an industry.
All right. We have a few minutes before we go on break. I mean, let me allow Austin add his 2 cents to some of the things Damilola has said about the things surrounding sports, the sports sector, and the recent developments.
I like it. I mean, I like that they had that meeting with the president. It wasn't just the chairman of the National Sports Commission and the DG, Bukola Olokpade, but the special advisor to the president on grassroots sports was also there, Denka. So Diko tried to break it down properly, what it was all about, the business angle, the ecosystem, the super eagles, welfare, and, you know, everything that it takes to build that environment that is needed to achieve the mandate that the president gave them, which is to build a sports economy for Nigeria. It's a whole lot of work, but I like that it was a relaxed conversation. The president was smiling. Everybody seemed to like the conversation they were having. And we just hope that they will put words into action. First thing first, I like the fact that the president has decided to sit to these guys, and I'm sure with what Shehu Diko said, that they will be seeing him frequently to give him updates. And I like that he's interested, and I've said it. And I'll say it again, for Nigerian sports to grow, to move from where it is to the next level, the president and the presidency must be involved 100% in this sort of situation. Like what you and Dami asked about the Federal Executive Council meeting. I think we shouldn't bother ourselves too much with that. On the agenda, it might just be going there with sports minister and just sit down, just be watching and listening if nothing that concerns sports is coming up. But whenever there's something important and it goes to the chief of staff, Shehu Diko writes to the chief of staff, Bukola Olokpade talks to the chief of staff and says, we need to see Mr. President to talk about this, and there's an express, approval. I think that's even better for us. All of these ministers are all titles. We want personalities that can drive action that will lead to positive changes for football, for sports development in Nigeria. Let's go on this quick break. Sports Tonight on Channels. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. We're taking a look at sports development in Nigeria. The Director General, the Chairman of the National Sports Commission, and the Special Advisor to the President on sports, grassroots sports, paid a visit to the President, and they gave him a brief as regards what's going on with sports in Nigeria. Onifade, let's go back to that conversation before we move on. I'm just taking a look now at sports general and everything that Shehu Diko talked about. Where do you think we need to focus, pay attention to hit the ground running as regards developing sports in Nigeria?
Austin, I think the first thing we need to do is basic. The first thing is to consider grassroots. We need to have a plan for grassroots development, and then to also have a structure of how to move athletes from that very low level to as they move into professional level. I think that's what the Sports Commission should bother themselves about, and leave the federations to run the part of the professional sport, and also ensure that there is proper funding, of course, because I mean, most of the federations, all the federations still get their funding, bulk of it from government. And so that's their role in that aspect. But majorly, they must focus on grassroots sport development and how we build capacity of this commission to do that. I think it's the first task they need.
As a follow-up to Austin's question, before we leave this matter altogether, let me chip this in. A lot of people seem to make us feel that you cannot do grassroots and be competing in major tournaments at the same time. That maybe that is why we have the problem that we have, because most federations are just concerned about going for tournaments. So the question really is, can we do both?
We can do both. It's the funding that matters. It's the funding that matters. If for example,
because you just suggested that one should focus on this, one should focus.
No, I'm saying that now this is how I believe it will work majorly. Let the sports commission focus on giving us a policy of how we want to drive grassroots for development. First of all, let's start from there. When you say the federations should source their own funding, I believe that should be for professional sport, because it's not. Grassroots sport is not really very attractive to most companies. It is where they get the endorsement, they can use the face of an athlete that becomes more attractive to them. So, but government must focus on how we develop sport. The challenge we've had over the years is that we've abandoned grassroots sport, and then for virtually all our sport, we are now looking outside for who has been developed by somewhere else so that we can use them for international competition. We can. The problem, we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan, and so we are still eager to win tournaments. We are too eager to go to the Olympics and win medals under 6 months plan or 8 months plan. That's our problem. So the first thing is, what is our plan? Where are we? Where do we want to get to? How do we get there? We must have a plan of where we are and how we get there. It might mean that we will not win things for a long time. It might mean that.
Interesting. Do you sense a willingness on the part of the stakeholders, the government, to do things differently this time? Because it is one thing, Sheldiko is saying the right words.
Of course. The right sound bites you are getting.
You understand? He's saying, but you see, do you feel there's a willingness on part of this government and the stakeholders who seem to be around, same names, same faces all the time? Do you see a willingness to do something different this time?
The willingness will be there if, as a people, we are not going to judge them by the number of Olympic medals. Let's be fair to them. Okay. If you work in an environment where your output is going to be judged by the medals, the football competition, the World Cups you qualify for at under 17, under 20, and how you perform, you're going to be more tilted to that, because that's what your scorecard will be on.
Yes, that's what
But if your scorecard is going to be on how many athletes you're able to develop, how you're able to properly fund sports, that we don't get to Tokyo and people embarrass us by saying they will not compete after leaving Nigeria, then you focus more on that as well. So it's a mental shift that we must have as a country. Even as a people. Even as journalists, as a people, we must have that mental shift that success in sport is not necessarily the number of medals that you win, but what's the development? What's the growth that you're seeing in your athletes? How many are we developing? All right. How many grassroots competitions are we also having, and we are properly funding that? And when we say grassroots competition, it's not just to gather people in 2 months and do one small competition. It must be a system. A system that we know that this is where we're going and these are the route that we're going to.
You have to be in it for the long haul.
We have to be in it. That's why I said we might not win things for a long time. Okay. But we must be ready for that.
All right. Let's move on now. Let's talk about, Austin talked about it. I talked about it earlier. The rankings. I'll go across now and talk about it. Women's football globally. And let's start with Africa. I mean, no matter what you want to say, Nigeria is still the best women's football playing nation on the continent, and the rankings say so. So you have Nigeria, of course, the Super Falcons in the 36th position, followed by South Africa's Banyana, Morocco, Zambia, and Ghana. Cameroon not even in the top 5 for Africa. This is Africa's top 5. But let's see, globally, world's best football playing nation, world's best women's football playing nation, according to FIFA. You have the United States, followed by Spain, Germany, England, Sweden. That's the top 5. Then you have Canada, Brazil, Japan, Korea Democratic Republic, and the Netherlands making up the top 10. Austin, I've got to a point now. I don't argue about rankings anymore. I probably would have gone to town to quarrel with FIFA if they're telling me Nigeria is not the best women's football playing nation. But all this, it really doesn't matter. I still quarrel the 36th position anyway, but we'll leave to talk about that some other time. But your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think as you know, it's the rankings, and we will say we don't understand what FIFA uses to, get to their conclusion. But when it favors where you have your interest, you're cool with it. But we should be be pleased that Nigeria is still ranked the number one African playing nation for women. We went to the World Cup in New Zealand and Australia, ranked 40th in the world. I think after that World Cup, we moved up, 6 places, and now we're 36th in the world. Fair enough, we're still around there. But if you take a look at countries in Africa that are doing well, you could see South Africa is still there, Morocco, Zambia, and then there's Ghana now in the mix. So it tells you that we need to keep doing, whatever we're doing as regards getting our football busy for us to keep talking about it. So shout out to the Super Falcons. They always stand up, they always deliver. No questions as regards the world ranking. USA obviously up there. There's Spain doing so well, Germany, and then England and Sweden. So I don't think Damilola will have anything to dispute as regards this one. Let's just wait to see what the Super Falcons will do at the WAFCON and hopefully improve in the rankings.
He says he doesn't think you have anything to dispute.
I have nothing to disprove in terms of FIFA's ranking, but I think that if we are serious about women's football, our aspiration, if you look at our record, has been one of the 3 countries that have been at every World Cup, should be in the top 10.
That's right.
Really, it should be in the top 10 for Nigeria.
Okay, all right. All right. Okay, let's move on now on the show and talk about the Nigeria Premier Football League and take a look at matches that will be played. Let me just quickly turn towards the screen. And tomorrow, that's Saturday, Lobby Stars will take on Plateau United. Shooting Stars will take on Kano Pillars. Austin referenced this game earlier in his opening comments. Then on Sunday, where most of the matches will be played, El Kanami Warriors will take on Abia Warriors. 2 Warriors take it to Katsina United up against the Flying Antelope. We'll talk about Rangers International. Niger Tornadoes will take on the Akure Gunners, that's Sunshine Stars. Bayelsa United up against the Promise Keepers, Aqua United. The Naza Millionaires, Heartland, up against Bendel Insurance. Some people like to call them the Bini Arsenal. Then you have Rivers United up against Kwara United. Ikorodu City up against Remo Stars. Of course, that's a proper Southwest derby. All right, Damilola, I want to get your thoughts a minute or two. Which of these matches jump out at you if you were trying to convince somebody to watch games on the domestic scene? Which one of these games would it be?
2 jumps at me. For recent history of the MPFL, Ikorodu City and Remo Stars, the rivals, that's the rivalry that could start.
Okay, do we agree now that Ikorodu City have turned the corner?
They definitely have. I mean, they are in the top 5. So they definitely have turned the corner. That
speaks for itself.
That speaks for itself. And Remo are also in the top 5, and it's a derby. And for recent history, that should excite anyone that have been following the league at least the last 5-7 years. But if you want to go to the history of Nigerian football, then Shooting Stars, Kano Pillars should trump it for you. So those are 2 games that should jump at Heno. Atlant Bendel Insurance is also a key game with a lot of history behind it as well. So I think there are a lot of games this weekend that excites me. But those 3 will stand out.
Okay. Those 3 stand out for me as well. I mean, also, what are those? I know you say all, but you know, there has to be a few that jumps at you.
Yeah, definitely. It has to be Shooting Stars and Kano Pillars. I said at the start, I had a phone conversation with Coach Usman Abdallah. Said his boys are in good spirit. They're already there. They have a feel of the pitch in Ibadan, the Lakers Salami Stadium, and they want to, give this a good push. They had a good game against Katsina United on March the 15th. And I've been talking about the goal. It was a beautiful team goal that was finished off with a fine header by Abba Adam. So he's saying that they will not respect Shooting Stars. Shooting Stars, remember, I went to Djibouti. There was an away fixture, got their first away win of the season, beating Sunshine Stars by a single goal. So you see both sides are in proper form and in the right spirit for that action. And that's why I cannot wait to see. Let's see what can come out of that one. Kano Pillars 7th on the log. Shooting Stars are beginning to pick their momentum. Let's see what football will give us from that fixture. Ikorodu City Remo Stars. I was saying to someone today, I was talking about the league, and I said, if Ikorodu City beats Remo Stars, they might end up finishing in the top 6 this season. It's just as early as March the 17th, but if they beat Remo Stars, with the form, arguably they were the team for the month of November, I think the end of November till where we are now with December, and they've shown even that last game, Bayelsa United had to dig deep, very deep, to beat Ikorodu City in Yenagoa. So they've picked up the sort of form that they want. That's the right place they want to be, and I don't think they want to go back. So if Remo Stars be thinking that they will come to Lagos and it will be easy for them, then they should think twice. The Warriors fixture is one we should also look forward to. I still think El Kanemi Warriors, they're decent. They also put up a good fight in Ikene in their last game against Remo Stars, but they lost by 2-0 because Remo Stars needed to win that game to push Rivers United out of the top of the table, knowing that Rivers United was going to have it tough in Enugu. And yes, Rivers United lost that game by a single goal. But with Abia Warriors, where anything can happen, that's a team that is very decent and they go for the offensive. So that one will definitely get us talking. There's another South-South derby. Akwa United has got out of one. They'll be getting to another one again with Bayelsa United. The Promise Keepers need to start winning. The Restoration Boys, they've been... I think they've been a decent team under Coach Ladan Boso. They just need to find their rhythm when they go away, and they can actually be a team that will get us talking all season, Yemi.
All right. So let's move swiftly into the CAF Confederation Cup. And this is a competition that the People's Elephant need to start winning. They're not in a good position. But let's look at it. Black Bulls Maputo will be up against Eimba International, of course, a club from Mozambique and one from Nigeria, then Zamalek and Al Mazri. Damilola, even though we're pressed for time, but I want you to talk about this. If Eimba don't get at least 4 points from this double header, for me, I think it's curtains.
No, it is. It's not for you. It's for everybody. I think even the coach will accept that. These are the two, as at the time the draws were made, these are the two most winnable games
on paper.
On paper.
Anywhere.
In Mozambique, the least you expect is a draw, and then you come to Rabat to win. Those are.
And you expect that
but
Zamalek...
with the situation they are now, I actually expect Eimba to go there to win.
Yes.
Really, because 6 points will make a lot of difference in their with where they are at the moment, particularly because they couldn't win last weekend. I think this is where you expect Zamalek and Almazu to cancel each other out.
They will.
And then you have to take advantage. If Eimba, for example, God forbid, loses tomorrow on Sunday and then drew in Aba against Black Bulls, I mean, it's over.
It's all over.
It's over.
I told Austin the last time, Ham open, that these guys cancel themselves out and Zamalek have the edge because our Masri is coming here. And so the ball will be in Eimba's court. But it all begins with them doing the job against Black Bulls Maputo. All right, Austin, your 2 cents on this one. As we move on, they have 2 options, win and win.
That's it. Right after that draw to Zamalek in Uyo, I said it, that they must win the next game against Black Bulls. But that's going to be a very difficult game because I watched Black Bulls and Al-Mazri, and they were pretty decent, particularly with their going forward and their fighting spirit. And that's why they kept fighting until Nene scored that late goal to give the team from Mozambique that vital point on the Group D table. So Eimba must just dig deep. They must just say to themselves that, look, I don't even think I want Al-Mazri and Zamalek to cancel themselves. I think I want somebody to win, because if someone wins, they'll be tied at 4-4 with Eimba. And then Eimba just now knows that they don't need to be complacent in any way. I like Coach Yema Olarewaju. I think he's a very intelligent coach. I like the blend he's having with the players. So there's just something about Eimba still playing with that stick shift on and still trying to be so tight in midfield, yet they make errors and they go on those rash tackles. They just need to go out there, play fluid football, just have fun, but have it at the back of your mind that you need to win to have some relevance on the Group D table, Yemi. All
right. You need to win to have some relevance. Goals win you games, and they have to score goals aplenty. Let's travel to England. That's where Austin is, in the United Kingdom, to be precise. Let's take a look at the English Premier League, and this is what you have. Saturday, 6 years. The Gunners, Arsenal, will be taking on Everton. Liverpool, league leaders, taking on Fulham. Newcastle United, in all sorts of trouble, will take on Leicester City. Wolverhampton Wanderers will be up against Ipswich Town. Then you have Nottingham Forest up against Aston Villa. This match will be played on Saturday. Then on Sunday, let's see what's going to happen on Sunday. Brighton Hove and Albion will take on Crystal Palace. Manchester City, with all their problems, will be in a derby against Manchester United. Chelsea, Maresca trying to play down, but the expectations is high now. Chelsea fans saying they can win, and they're up against Brentford. And Southampton taking on Tottenham. I've not seen Ant Postecoglou really angry, boy. He tore into his German forward recently and said, look, you need to start scoring. This kind of performance is not what we want. Damlola, quickly, Manchester derby. I don't know. Don't let me put words in your mouth, but we're pressed now. But a lot of people are enjoying what's happening to Manchester City, and I don't know why.
Well, I don't know why too. I think at some point people just want to see that at the end of the day, Pep and his boys are human.
They're just human.
And I think that's what people are just celebrating, that at least that superhuman feature is taken out. You said with all their troubles, I don't know which of the two teams are in bigger trouble, Man City or Man United. but it's a game of... it's a game that the two teams have to win, and it's a game when they are meeting at a time where it's probably the derby that you're excited to watch, but you are not sure it's going to win. There is no odds-on favorite for this one because Man City are conceding goals as if it's going out of fashion. And Man U are not exactly scoring, and they also are leaking goals. But I see it as a game where if Man City wins, then they can take a lot of confidence going into the next set of games. I will still tilt towards Man City. Basically, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Ruben Amorim, the Manchester United manager, admits that, look, this game doesn't have the hype that it used to, but it will take a win, and maybe next game everybody can be talking about the hype. He wants a win. But of course, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has been licking his wounds. Let's quickly listen to Pep Guardiola. On the flip side, also will be giving us his thoughts on this derby. Here is Pep Guardiola speaking his mind ahead of the game.
What I want is my players back. The players that we have. I would have desperately compete with the squad that I had at the beginning of the season. I said many times, this is the only regret I have. I don't have the players, these players, no new ones. The problem, Rodri, of course. We are playing this season without the best player, the Ballon d'Or, and without the best player in England last season. Phil had played 4 or 5 games, but no more than that in his best. So how would not notice one team that play with a central defender, with a Ballon d'Or, and the best player in the Premier League during all the season? Of course it's difficult. You know, Chicago Bulls won 6 NBA with Michael Jordan, right? So since then, Michael Jordan retired, how many? In this calendar, then the season there are more games than ever in terms of the Champions League and whatever, have more injuries than ever, and it made me reflect that today maybe in this calendar you need a squad for 25, 30 players. It will be more difficult financially for the club, but today we're going to play the World Cup in summer, 3 weeks, start again the Premier League, and maybe we have to, you know, to have more depth squad, because when the people say, what is the problem? The problem is the schedule. It's not the training, it's not the physio, it's not the doctors, it's not the players, it's not how they food, it's not how they rest. It's just one problem, it's the schedule.
I wish we had time. Honestly, we are back here again, scheduled, too many fixtures. But some will say, if you earn that amount of money, if you're told to go and play in the moon, be ready. If you're earning that amount of money. But Pep Guardiola is saying it's not the coaches, it's not the tactics, it's not the referees, it's not the doctors, it is the schedule.
And that's why I just laugh at Pep sometimes when he talks about this. With this same schedule about 2 seasons ago, you did the treble, easy peasy. You know, with this same schedule, you have been winning the English Premier League for 4 years in a row. So what are you talking about, Pep? With the sort of budget that Manchester City commands, you know, you wouldn't want to be hearing this because they've got quality players everywhere. It's just something missing and lacking at the moment because of the mental state of the club, you know, everything that they're going through, the sort of mentions they're getting in the media. And that's why I looked at you and Damilola said you don't know why people are laughing. Of course, we know why people are laughing. We're tired of seeing Manchester City dominate football in England. You know, so people want to hear something else. And that's why they like what's happening, that in 10 matches, Manchester City has won just 1 And across all competitions, they have considered 23 goals. Can Manchester United put more goals? We'll wait for Super Sunday to give us that. But let's wrap up with what I've always talked about. Paul Kagame, the president of Rwanda, has been having fruitful conversations with Formula One officials to bring F1 to Rwanda. Rwanda, Yemi and Damilola. Rwanda, at the last count this year, their population is not even up to 15 million, about 14.2 million people. But if you check what Rwanda seems to have achieved with sports, because the president, I repeat, the president is interested, what they've been able to do with Arsenal, what they've been able to do in terms of infrastructure development, bringing events, sporting events to Rwanda, then it tells you that we have to do more as a country. I think we should look at Rwanda, Damilola, and see ways that we can learn from them, swallow our pride and make a change with sports development. I know we're out of time, but maybe, Yemi, if we've got some time, you wrap it up with the conversation from Paul Kagame. That's a good place for us to leave it and reflect. That's the show in London. I'm Austin Okonakpan. In everything you do, remember, let's keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Yeah, I agree. Power of sports. That's a nation that fought the Civil War 30 years ago. Look at where they are now. All right, it's a wrap here in Lagos as well. I want to thank Damilola Onifade for his time on the show.
Pleasure being here, Yemi.
Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Definitely. God willing.
All right. We leave you with the words of the Rwandan president, Paul Kagame, of course, calling for Formula One. And of course, what happened today, the draws for qualifiers for the FIFA 2026 World Cup, the European zone, that's UEFA. We'll leave you with those highlights and, of course, ask you to enjoy your day. You see us again next week. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.